He didn't live here. For all we know, he could have been living at his mama's house all 3 years that he owned this house, and he was able to take this, sell it in 3 years, and then go buy something else. Share my top 5 first-time home buying myths, what they don't want you to know. And I'm just going to keep it real. I do not believe in gatekeeping information. I think that everybody should be able to buy a home if that is something that they want to do. So I'm going to share what they wish I wouldn't so that you can achieve what they say you shouldn't. And without further ado, let's get into it. So, myth number 1. This one probably might not surprise some people, but I'm going to say it anyway because I think that it is still commonly withheld. And that is that you have to have a 700 plus credit score. This idea of 750, that's the goal, and without 750, you can't buy a home. Take that myth, ball that one up, you guys, and just throw that one away because it's not true. There's more to the story. So as a first-time home buyer, there are many programs that want to help you. And as an incentive to help first-time home buyers, they have lower credit score limits or lower credit score minimums. And you can actually buy a home with a 600 and guess 40 credit score. 640 is high enough to buy a home as a first-time home buyer. I will recommend that if you are trying to get to 640, you try to boost your score above it because your score takes a couple of hits when you are in the home buying process. The first time it may drop is when you first apply for a pre-approval letter with a bank, and this is a letter that you get to go and shop, and then it drops again after you get your home. So 640 is the minimum, but you want to get a little bit higher than that. I also want to add that just because someone has a 700 credit score or above doesn't mean they will automatically qualify for buying a home. I'm going to throw in that saying that we all know, that we've all heard of, that saying, age ain't nothing but a number, and how a lot of us know, like, yes, that's partially true because some people are more mature for their age, but also age matters because you have to be a certain age to drink, to drive, etc., to vote. So it's kind of like that. I'm not going to say the credit score is just a number and it doesn't mean anything, because if it's below that 640, it's not just a number. But if you're above that 640 number, really what they're looking at is your credit report, your credit history. So myth number 2 is the myth that you need a high down payment. I know all of us have checked out Zillow, we've checked out Redfin, looking at homes. You'll see, down payment of $45,000 or down payment of 20%. And so you think that that is the standard. But actually, as a first-time home buyer, once again, there are programs that want to see you succeed. Programs may ask you to put up anywhere between 3 and 5% of the home. So if we're talking numbers, let's take $300,000. If you're looking at a home on Zillow, that's $300,000, and you find a program in your city or state that supports first-time home buyers, they might say, we just need you to put up 3% of your own funds, and we'll put up the other 3%, or we'll put up more. So you could put down 10, they could put down 10, you could put down 10, they could put down 25. It all depends on the program. It depends on your income. There are just so many factors. Now let's get into myth number 3. So myth number 3, I'm going to just take a sip of tea for this one. So myth number 3, I got this idea from Twitter. I got this idea of being stuck or choosing to live somewhere for the rest of your life when you're only 27, 28, however many years old. The myth that you are in this 30-year contract and you can't get out of it and you're signing your life away. Take that myth, y'all, just roll that one up and throw that one out the window because it's not true. Now, generationally, we may come from families where a grandparent or a parent has that childhood home that we all know and love, and we've only known that family member to live in that house. So when we think of home ownership, that's the picture that we have. But I'm here to tell you that these wealthy Americans that own all these properties are buying and flipping properties all the time, or they're buying properties and they're renting them out all the time. You are not caught in this 30-year loan. You sign an agreement for 30 years or for 15, because there are 15-year loans too. It's just the terms and conditions, and as long as you're upholding your end of the deal, which is really just to pay your bills, you can renegotiate that contract. The seller who sold me my home bought this home in 2017, turned around and put it on the market 3 years later, and when I was sitting at the closing table and I saw how much money he made from this deal, I was like in shock. Months ago, when the seller's agent asked me if I wanted any of the furniture or anything in the house, and he was like, oh, I can put you in contact with the seller. Let me know if you're interested in any of the items here. I was like, no, that's okay. But now looking back, I'm like, I want to know how he did it. He didn't live here. For all we know, he could have been living at his mama's house all 3 years that he owned this house. And he was able to take this, sell it in 3 years, and then go buy something else. That is impressive. And he could have bought something else outside of Boston where it's less expensive. I mean, talk about being smart. Please, please, please don't let them deceive you. Don't let them fool you into thinking that you can't buy something on a 30-year loan and then turn around and decide you're going to rent it out to travel, that you're going to rent it out as an Airbnb, or that you're going to just altogether sell it. Now let's get into number 4. So myth number 4 is that you pay your real estate agent. This one caught me by surprise, not going to lie. With my first real estate agent, I remember asking her at the end of the meeting, like, and how much do you cost? And she basically said, oh, you do not pay me, I get paid by the seller. If a real estate agent ever asks you for money, it is a scam. But the money is coming out of the seller's pocket. When you go under contract for the home and say, I'm going to buy this house, you have the seller agent's name on there and the buyer's agent's name on there. You're the buyer. And that is basically the agreement that they represented you. They helped make this transaction happen. And therefore, they're going to get this certain payout when you close on the home. But guess what? You don't got to give them a coin. They're going to set up your tours. They're going to find properties. They're going to accompany you to some of those properties, as many as you would like them to, depending on, how independent you want to be. They draft up your offer letter. They do all of that, and they don't get paid from your pocket. So you can not worry about that expense. And last but not least, let's get into my fifth myth. Myth number 5 for first-time home buyers, and that's this myth that you need 2 incomes, this myth that you need to be married before you buy a home, or that you should just want to be married because it'll be cheaper. There is some truth to this, but there's a little bit that you should know before you decide that you're not going to try and look at homes because you're just going to wait until you have a wife or a husband. When you're buying a home, if you're buying it, as a couple, that's 2 people who are going under scrutiny. They scrutinize everything about you when you look for your home. When you're purchasing your home. So 2 people are going to be scrutinized. Not just your income and how much you make, which is taboo because one person can make $100K or 2 people can make $50K each. That doesn't mean you're able to afford any more, right? So it's not just about income. On top of that, they're not just looking at that, they're looking at your credit score and they're looking at your credit report. And unless your husband or wife is your high school sweetheart and you know everything about them from when they first got their first credit card all the way to when they met you, chances are their history, their credit report, their credit history is going to have things in it that you don't necessarily know about or you weren't around for. And this could harm, potentially, it could help, but it could potentially harm your chances in getting a certain home because they may take your score and their score and combine the 2 and get an average. And if their score is lower than yours or you're the one with the lower score, it will bring down the overall credit score. It also will hurt your chances of getting a certain home if your partner has a massive amount of student loan debt. If they, have an advanced degree or they went to medical school, they're going to carry a lot more debt than you are, and that will be a red flag to a lender, and vice versa if you're the one that has the larger amount of debt. So I put it this way. I think it takes a special, insightful kind of person to think about a family that they don't even have and decide to buy a home with them in mind, because it saves drama and it saves potential breakups. It can save pretty much a relationship down the line because finances are the biggest barrier for people's relationships. in marriage. And if you are in a position where your ducks are in a row and you can look at buying a home, I would not worry about the fact that you are not married. You are actually probably helping everyone out in the long run, whoever you decide to be with, by making this step, if you are able to make this step. Now, if you are married, I don't have advice for that as far as trying to buy by yourself. Like, I can't speak to that. I don't know what that would look like, and probably you would hurt their feelings. If you are married, this message need not apply. So myth number 5 is just for my hesitant single people who think that they should not look because it's just one income. You can always get a second job or rent out a room if you buy a property that has more than one room, or get a 1-bedroom condo. I mean, that's similar to living in an apartment if you don't want the maintenance of a big home, or if you're afraid to live in a home by yourself without a partner. And then when you do get married, the two of you can go and buy something that fits you, but you've already set the family up in terms of having equity and being able to bring that financial stability to the table, okay? So those are my top 5 myths of first-time home buying. Let me know down below in the comments what else you want to see from me. And if you are a DIYer, check out my project linked down below in the description box. And as always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all